Hey folks, Prepper Princess. So I wanted to talk to you today briefly about prepping and hoarding. So I've been watching a lot of preppers, other prepper channels, and there's a ton of prepper channels out there. But one of the things that I've noticed, see these boxes behind me? Well, what I did is I packed up my prepper closet or my prepper room. I took everything out of the prepping room and I brought it out here because I know I'm not going to be using it over the next year, and I will be moving within the next year. Fixing my microphone, hoping it helps. But one of the things that I've noticed about a lot of the channels is they will have either an entire building or, half of their house or their entire garage is completely packed full of prepping supplies. And some of them, I feel bad. You've all seen that TV show Hoarders, where you look at, the junk that people have and you're like, why are they keeping that garbage? Why are they keeping that stuff? And I look, I consider myself a minimalist, and I look at my prepping supplies and I'm like, I have way too much. Like, I have too much stuff. Like, everything I own is essentially prepper food. I mean, all of the boxes behind me, every single box is full of prepping supplies. And there's like, I think I counted 17 boxes. And to me, when I look in all of the things that I own, everything I own clothes, furniture, and prepping supplies. That's pretty much all I have. And I try and keep a very balanced perspective of prepping. And I had a mother who was a hoarder, and I knew what a tremendous effort it took to get rid of all of the hoard after she passed away. And everything to me was junk. But every time I look at another prepper channel, all I see is junk. They've got expired canned goods when they could have used their money for 25-year shelf life food. I see charcoal bags when they could have gotten like an EcoZoom stove where you don't have to have anything like that. And it's just stacked, floor to ceiling. And it's really hard to find that balance in your life. But I start wondering, myself included, I'm like, am I a hoarder? Like, did I become a prepping hoarder? Somehow in this prepping journey, have I somehow accumulated too much? And in a couple of my recent videos, my past videos, I mentioned, I'm packing up my prepper supplies. I'm going to be going through my prepper supplies and eating some of the packaged food I have. And I found that there were a lot of people that were saying, no, don't get rid of it. You might use it someday. Or no, don't get rid of your prepping supplies. You're going to need those. Well, I'm in my own personal SHTF, so why wouldn't I use them during this time frame when I need them the most? And I find that a lot of people who are hoarders will try and find people who will agree with them and sort of enable them in a way. And I wonder if my prepping channel, when I talk about prepping, if I am just enabling somebody to hoard products based on the fact that they may or may not use them at some point in the future. And I really hope that that's not the case. I hope that people do not watch my channel just to hoard a bunch of supplies that they may or may not use. If you look at my website, prepperprincess.com, there's not a whole lot of products on there. There's not a lot of products that I support when it comes to the prepping community, but there are a few. The All-American Sun Oven I use on a daily basis. The food that I go through, I use all the time. There's a lot of other things on there as well too, or not a lot. There's a few other things on there that I use all the time. And preppers, it seems like they're just accumulating, and then setting it aside and not using it. When it comes to my form of prepping, it's also a money-saving journey. So the All-American Sun Oven has saved me, I don't even know how much in electricity, along with the EcoZoom. The solar bulbs that are on my website, I use those every day. And they've saved me a ton in electricity. They've more than paid for themselves. All of the items have more than paid for themselves. I've got the generators. I use those on a daily basis. The Kodiak generator has like 3,000 charge cycles. So I can use that over a 10-year period and it's still not going to run out of juice. Even after the 3,000 charges, I can still bring in solar and passively use that electricity as the solar comes in. So it's not like the Kodiak is ever going to be completely useless. And that has lowered my electricity bill immensely. Immensely. I'm talking like cuts it in half. So all of the supplies that I offer are not only prepping supplies, but they're money-saving techniques that pay for themselves in the long run. And I think that that's extremely important when you are talking about just hoarding items that you don't use, but you think that you may be using someday. Then yes, you have become a hoarder, and you have, probably been watching other prepping channels in order to get that approval that you need in order to continue to hoard. And whenever you watch the Hoarders TV show, they always date back when the hoarding started. When did the hoarding start? It started when my husband passed away. It started when I had a stillborn child. It started when my kids left the nest. And when my mother when my mother started hoarding, it was when my brother and I moved out when we were 18, 19 years old. She started hoarding after that, and she was accumulating the spaces that we took up with stuff. So another thing is when people live a poverty-stricken childhood. So they feel the need to accumulate these things in case, they get poor again, and they don't want to feel the way that they did, helpless when they were in poverty. So they accumulate these things. In the back of their mind, subconsciously, they're thinking, well, if I have all of these prepping supplies, then I will never be in poverty again, because I'll always have food, and I'll always have electricity, and I'll always have something that will keep me going. Well, I think that these people need to be very, very careful and do a lot of soul digging and dig into the back of your head as to why you are truly a prepper. Do you think that society is really going to collapse? Do you think that an asteroid is going to strike the Earth? Do you think that Revelations is going to happen? Do you think that there's going to be an earthquake, a tornado, a hurricane? Or is it something from your past that is driving you to hoard products? So I just want you guys to be really cognizant of that, very aware of it. Think about that in your head. I know that my prepping supplies have been greatly diminished, and I need to go through them and diminish them even more. I think that I have way too much, and I am a minimalist, and I think that a year's supply of food is more, or even 2 years' supply of food is more than enough. If you cannot get your act together within a 2-year period to grow your own food or hunt or fish, then there is something seriously wrong, and something that you need to reevaluate in your prepping plan. I hope that this helps. I hope that you will evaluate why you prep and what you prep. If you prep too much, do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out.